Hello and welcome to the Blue Mountains Creator Space Intro to Blackmagic DaVinci Resolve. So before I start up, I want to just take you guys through what's available. So here's the blackmagicdesign.com/ca website, and the software we'll be looking at today, Blackmagic DaVinci Resolve, is right here. I'm just going to look at that right here. So what's available is you can actually access this totally for free. So it's a free piece of software used on most Hollywood films to color grade, but it has a quite an amazing, robust editing tool set. It has sound via Fairlight, and the color grading is essentially the best color grading software you can access. So it's totally free. There's also a studio version that comes loaded with their cameras, and it is about $450 Canadian. And that unlocks the 4K DCI resolutions and above, but generally for anything from standard definition to Ultra HD, you're covered with Blackmagic Resolve. So quite a nice page of elements, and they have a whole cut page. And what this does, it gives you a lot of tutorials that you can access as well. And these can be quite useful to use. So today we're going to just take us through the process of launching the software, bringing some footage, and getting it ready to edit. So let's do that. So essentially what I'm going to do first is just go to the launch down here. So there's just a little icon, the DaVinci Resolve icon, and you can just see it down here on the bottom of the screen. So I'm just going to double click on that. You might also find it on a Mac on your actual launch pad. So I'll just show it through here. It's a little bit easier to see. And where that is, it's just going to be right over up here. So Blackmagic, you'll see this DaVinci Resolve, this 3-color key. So I'm going to double click on that, and the software is going to launch. See right here, Studio. We have the whole Studio version available at the Blue Mountains Creator Space Digital Arts Lab, so you can access the full version there at any time. And then what I'm going to do is, what this is called your projects page, and this shows all the different projects that you've worked on, and it basically a directory of what you're working on. So what I'm going to do here is just create a new project. So I'm going to just go to, it basically has an untitled project right here. So I'm going to click on that, double click on that, and now we'll get into what this whole user interface looks like. So what's really cool is that we have a bunch of windows that we'll look at today, and these windows let us edit. So import video files, then we can arrange them and sequence them in the timeline. So what we have here is, just to take us through this, so you see right here it says Untitled Project. So right down here on the bottom, there's a bunch of tabs in the software. So it's just, unfortunately it's right at the bottom here, but the nice thing is each tab gives you a different work space. So the bottom one here, the first one is Media. So the Media tab gives us the ability to load in our media. And we do that just by importing and bringing all our footage in. The next tab over is called, it's a Cut tab, and this lets us get a quick sequence cut together. The third one over is called the Edit tab, and this is where we're going to spend our time in terms of editing, and this is where we can sequence all our shots together. From there we have our Fusion tab, and this is basically an After Effects style of effects processing and rendering solution tool that's built in right into the software. Again, free. Now we have the Color tab, and this is where we can do color grading and correction to basically even out and balance all of our shots in the sequence. Then the little music notation. We have the Fairlight sound editing and mixing window space, and that's where we can do equalization, mixing, adding different effects such as reverb, recording some voiceover directly into the software as well, so you can use computer microphones and so on. So it's that full too. And the last one, which is my favorite one, is the rocket ship. And that way you know that you've already finished everything, because that's the delivery tab, and that's where we can then export project final renders out for like Vimeo and ProRes, like industry standard codecs, or they have some presets like YouTube, Vimeo, so you can just render out what you finished and off you go. So let's start up right away with the media tab right down here. So that's the one just on the bottom here. I want to make sure everyone can see that. So the media tab right here. So I'm going to click on that, and this is where we start our projects. And in this window right up here, this top window right up here, so here we're going to be able to see the footage. Here it's going to give us information like the metadata. Right down here it says metadata. This will give us the idea of what type of resolution, format, frame rates, and here we'll see our audio information. So right from here, I'm going to go right up here, and what we can do is we can then import. So we're going to go up to File, Import, right? So it's right up here, File, Import. I'm going to import media. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just find some shots I'm going to bring in. So this can be external drives, local drives, wherever you have your data, your video loaded. This can be video, this can be graphics, logos, anything, music, sound files. So what I'm going to do is just go to one of the project folders of some footage that we have from one of our short filmmaking classes. So I'm just going to go right into here and find some footage. Okay. And what I'll do is, so we can see quickly how we can get this window up. And then what I can do is, I can use the command, right? So if we go right to our keyboard, so I can use command to then highlight specific clips that I want to bring in. And the way that looks like, it just brings them on or off, right? So command, I can do that. And then I can also hit the shift key to select a whole bunch. So let's say I select the first one, and then I go down a bit more, right? So if I use the shift key right here, and then click, I can actually click down here, and then it brings in a whole chunk like that, right? So that'll be our shift key. So let's just bring that in. So once I'm ready, I just go open. Okay, and now this is an important message. It says the clips have a different frame rate than the current project settings. And this is the great thing. Resolve will actually load up the whole project based on what frame rate you shot it in. So you don't even have to worry about setting that up ahead of time. So I'm just going to say yes. Let's change that to the frame rate that I shot it in. And now down here, we have all our shots. Right, so now what I can do is I can actually double click on these, and they're brought in right up here. And this lets me now view it. So I can take the mouse. So I can basically just take my mouse, and I can then, just drag across. And by dragging across, I can just go through the shot. Right, so we can see our shot. So right here we see our audio. We have some of the metadata. It tells me how many frames there are. It tells me the frames per second. So this is a 23.976 frames per second. And we'll have a whole video on frames and frame rates and formats that you can look at as well that can explain more about that. 1920 by 1080, that's the standard HD resolution. So that's what we have right now. And there's 2 channels of audio, and represented by 1 and 2. And we can hear that, and that's called scrubbing. So as I move along, it lets me hear the audio, so I can actually scrub it. Then I can hit the play button here.
Grandma will be soon here with her.
And I can hit the stop button, right? And then the other thing I can do too is I can just use the space bar to play the clip.
For her library.
And space bar again to start, stop. So that is a really great button, start, stop. Then also what we have here for viewing is we have something called the JKL. K is a stop, L plays forward, J plays backwards. So just by having your 3 fingers here, you can do the following. I can play with L.
Line.
I can hit K to stop, and then J lets me play backwards.
L.
And then also by multi-tapping these, J and L, forwards and backwards, I can make it go faster. So here's L being tapped. K to stop it, and now I can go J, multi-tap, and I can go back up to 16 times back. So it lets me really go back and forth really easily. to just quickly look through the footage. So that's what we want to do just when we bring in footage. We want to just examine it, explore it, make sure we're happy with what's in here. We have our whole list of everything. We see our shots right up here, right? And you can see there's a lot of data, a lot of information, and we don't need to reference all of this all the time, but it will become helpful when we get into some more advanced things. So we want to have all our shots. We have clip names of each one that are just right here, and the clips are basically just recognized. They're organized by usually the camera, put some sort of like shot names to it. So you'll see that there's some date information and roll information, and then there's like clip, so C001, and it just goes in numerical order, so 1, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't think there's a 2 in this case. So that's it. We just double click these and we can open up any of the shots. So that's really our first step before any kind of editing can happen. So what we want to do next is we're going to look at how we can repeat this to bring in more shots and footage. And what we want to do next is start the editing process. Join me for the next video and we can look at how we can edit this footage onto a sequence and how that works in Blackmagic DaVinci Resolve. So I'll see you in the next video and stay tuned.